In the gentle embrace of twilight, where the last golden rays surrender to the velvet darkness, there exists a sacred space between waking and sleeping, a threshold where wisdom whispers its deepest truths. Tonight, as shadows lengthen and the world grows quiet, we gather in this soft sanctuary of contemplation. Before we begin this journey together, if you find peace in these gentle wisdom stories, feel free to subscribe, give this video a like, and softly share in the comments where, in the world you're listening from tonight. Your presence here, wherever you are, is a gift to this quiet community of seekers. Picture, if you will, a single cherry blossom petal, poly pink, delicate as a prayer, drifting slowly through the evening air. It moves not by its own will, but, carried by invisible currents, following a path that seems random, yet feels somehow inevitable. This petal, like the souls who enter our lives, arrives not by chance, but by the gentle orchestration of something far greater than coincidence. In an ancient monastery garden, where moss grows thick between weathered stones, an old monk walks, a familiar path he has traveled for decades. His footsteps are soft, almost silent, each one placed with the reverence of one who understands that even the ground beneath his feet is sacred. The evening air carries the scent of jasmine and the faint curl of incense from the meditation hall, where prayers offered centuries ago still linger in the amber light. This monk, bent with years but bright with understanding, pauses beside a small pond. The water is so still it mirrors the first stars appearing in the darkening sky. He knows, as we are beginning to understand, that nothing, not the ripples that will soon disturb this perfect reflection, not the moths that will dance around the paper lanterns, not even the seekers who will arrive at the monastery gates tomorrow, nothing arrives by accident. Tonight, dear friend, we invite you to settle into this knowing, to let go of the day's urgencies and rest in the profound mystery that each person who has touched your life, each encounter that has shaped your heart, each moment of connection or separation, all of it has been woven into the tapestry of your existence by threads invisible yet unbreakable. As you prepare for sleep, imagine yourself as that cherry blossom petal, trusting the wind, surrendering to the current, knowing that you are being carried exactly where you need to be. The people in your life, those who have stayed and those who have gone, those who have brought joy and those who have brought lessons wrapped in difficulty, all of them are part of your sacred journey. Let us explore together in this gentle hour the beautiful truth that people don't enter your life by chance. Asterisk, asterisk, in the stillness that exists between one breath and the next. In that infinite moment, before the mind forms its first opinion of the day, there lives a question that has no answer and therefore contains all answers. It is the cone that the universe whispers to every awakening soul. If everything is connected, what then is coincidence? Imagine a spider's web at dawn, each strand glistening with dew, trembling with the slightest movement of air. Touch one thread, and the entire web responds, vibrating with invisible communication. The spider, nestled in the center of this intricate creation, feels every tremor, every whisper of wind, every tiny insect that might brush against the outer edges. She knows, without thinking, that nothing approaches her web by accident. We are all like this spider, dear friend, centered in the web of our own existence, feeling the gentle vibrations of every soul that enters our sphere. But unlike the spider, we have forgotten how to listen. We have trained ourselves to believe in random encounters, in chance meetings, in the arbitrary nature of love and loss. We have forgotten that we are both the spider and the web, both the artist and the canvas, upon which the masterpiece of our relationships is painted. In the high mountains of Tibet, where the air is thin and thoughts move slowly like clouds across an endless sky, there grows a particular flower that blooms only once in 7 years. The local people say that this flower appears not when the seasons are right, but when the mountain itself is ready to share its deepest beauty. They wait, these patient souls, not knowing when the miracle will occur, but trusting that it will arrive in perfect timing. Is it possible that the people in our lives are like these rare blossoms, appearing not when we expect them, not when we think we need them, but when our soul is ready to receive whatever gift they carry? A teacher who challenges us arrives when we are ready to grow. The friend who understands us appears when we are ready to be truly seen. The love that transforms. Use emerges when we are ready to be transformed. But what of the difficult people, you might ask? What of those who bring pain, who leave scars, who seem to arrive like storms in our peaceful gardens? Are they too part of this sacred choreography? The old monk by the pond would smile at this question. He has learned, through years of quiet observation, that even the harsh winter winds serve the garden. They strip away the dead leaves, strengthen the roots, prepare the soil for new growth. The people who challenge us, who push us to our edges, who force us to examine our deepest beliefs, they too are part of the great teaching, the endless curriculum of the awakening heart. In the soft light of understanding, we begin to see that our lives are not random collections of encounters, but carefully orchestrated symphonies. Each person who enters our story brings their own instrument, their own melody, their own rhythm. Some play loud, dramatic passages that wake us from our slumber. Others contribute gentle harmonies that soothe our troubled spirits. Still others provide the silence between notes, the space that gives meaning to the music. As you lie here in the gathering darkness, feeling the weight of your body settling into rest, consider this. What if every person you have ever met was meant to meet you? What if every conversation, every glance, every moment of connection was part of a vast, cosmic conversation that began long before you were born and will continue long after you return to the stars? The question hangs in the air like incense, sweet and mysterious. There is no need to answer it with your mind. Let it instead dissolve into your heart, where all true knowing lives. Let it become part of your breathing, part of your dreaming, part of the gentle current that carries you toward sleep. What is the sound of peace before thought arrives? Perhaps it is the whisper of recognition, the soul's quiet yes, when it encounters another soul it has been waiting lifetimes to meet. Asterisk, asterisk, in the gentle glow of temple lamps, where countless generations have sought understanding, there exists a teaching as old as the first human who ever wondered about the nature of connection. The Buddha, in his infinite compassion, spoke of something called praditya samputa dependent origination, concept that sounds complex, but flows as simply as water finding its way to the sea. Imagine, if you will, a raindrop forming in the vastness of a cloud. This single drop does not exist in isolation. It is born from the marriage of temperature and moisture, from the dance of wind and pressure, from the presence of dust particles, so tiny they are invisible to the naked eye. The raindrop exists because countless conditions came together in perfect harmony. It falls not randomly, but as part of an intricate web of cause and effect that stretches back to the beginning of time. So too, whispers the ancient wisdom, do the people in our lives arise. They do not appear from nowhere, blown by the winds of chance. Each soul that touches ours has been shaped by infinite conditions, infinite moments of preparation, infinite threads of connection that weave through lifetimes like golden silk through a cosmic tapestry. In the Lotus Sutra, there is a beautiful passage that speaks of how every being has been, in some form, our mother, our father, our child, our teacher throughout countless lifetimes. This is not meant to be understood literally, but felt deeply, the recognition that the stranger who sits beside you on the train, the friend who calls at just the right moment, the lover who sees into your soul, all of them are part of your ancient family, reuniting with you in this incarnation to continue the eternal dance of learning and loving The great teacher Thich Nhat Hanh, with his gentle smile and eyes that held the wisdom of centuries, taught about interbeing, the understanding, that we do not exist separately from one another, but are all interconnected manifestations of the same universal consciousness. Like waves on the ocean, we appear to be separate, but we are all expressions of the same vast, mysterious source. When we truly understand this, dear friend, every encounter becomes sacred. The cashier who smiles at you during a difficult day is not just being kind, she is the universe offering you exactly the compassion you need in that moment. The friend who challenges your perspective is not just being difficult, they are life itself, presenting you with the opportunity to grow beyond your current limitations. There is a beautiful teaching in Zen that speaks of the Ensu, the circle, painted with a single brushstroke, representing wholeness, the void, and the cycle of life and death. Each Ensu is unique, yet all Ensu circles are expressions of the same fundamental truth. The people in our lives are like this, each one, a unique expression of the same divine creativity that flows through all existence. Asterisk. In the quiet monasteries of Myanmar, where monks rise before dawn to walk barefoot through villages collecting alms, there is a practice called metta-loving kindness meditation. As they walk, these gentle souls silently offer blessings to every person they encounter. May you be happy, may you be peaceful, may you be free from suffering. They understand, through years of practice, that there is no separation between the one who blesses and the one who receives the blessing. Each person they meet is an aspect of themselves, a mirror reflecting back their own Buddha nature. This ancient wisdom, flowing like honey through the corridors of time, teaches us that the people who enter our lives are not random visitors, but essential characters in the story of our awakening. Each relationship, whether brief or lasting, whether easy or challenging, carries within it the potential for profound transformation. The Persian poet Rumi, whose heart was so vast it could hold the entire universe, wrote, "Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about." But the deeper truth, whispered by the ancient teachings, is that everyone you meet is also carrying a gift you need to receive, a lesson you are ready to learn, a mirror that will help you see yourself more clearly. In the gentle traditions of Buddhist philosophy, there is no such thing as a chance encounter. Every meeting is what the Tibetans call tendril auspicious coincidence, the spontaneous manifestation of interdependence. When two people meet, it is because the conditions are perfectly aligned for whatever exchange needs to occur. The universe itself has conspired to bring these two souls together at this exact moment, in this exact place, for this exact purpose. As you settle deeper into the softness of your pillow, let this ancient wisdom wash over you like warm rain. Feel how it soothes the part of you that has ever felt lonely, ever wondered if you matter, ever questioned whether the connections in your life have meaning. The teachings of millennia whisper gently, you are not alone. You have never been alone. You are part of an infinite web of being, and every person who has ever touched your life has been drawn to you by the same mysterious force that draws the moon to the earth, the flower to the sun, the heart to love. The Buddha taught that we are all walking each other home. In the gentle darkness of this night, surrounded by the presence of all who have loved you, feel the truth of this ancient knowing settle into your bones. You are exactly where you need to be, connected to exactly who you need to be connected to, in the perfect timing of the universe's infinite compassion. Asterisk, asterisk, in a monastery nestled between misty mountains and ancient bamboo groves, where the morning mist clings to weathered tiles and the sound of temple bells echoes through valleys that have held secrets for 1,000 years, there lived a monk whose name was Kensho. He was not famous, not particularly learned in the way of books, but he possessed something far more valuable. He could see the invisible threads that connected all beings. Every morning, As the first light painted the eastern sky in shades of pearl and rose, Kensho would sit in the monastery garden, watching the world wake up. He would observe how the dewdrops on the lotus leaves caught the light, how the birds seemed to know exactly when to begin their dawn chorus, how even the smallest insects moved with purpose and precision. Nothing, he noticed, was random. Everything participated in the great symphony of existence. One autumn evening, as the leaves whispered their ancient secrets to the wind, a young woman appeared at the monastery gates. She was dusty from travel, her clothes simple but clean, her eyes holding the deep weariness of one who has walked many miles carrying invisible burdens. She bowed respectfully to the gatekeeper and asked if she might speak with someone about the nature of suffering. The gatekeeper, an elderly monk with kind eyes and hands gentle from years of tending the monastery garden, looked at her with compassion. "Child," he said softly, "we have many learned teachers here, but I think you need to speak with Brother Kensho. He has a way of seeing that might help you understand what you're truly seeking." As the woman waited in the guest hall, the faint scent of jasmine incense curling around her like a gentle embrace, Kensho appeared. He was shorter than she had expected, his robe simple and well-worn, his presence radiating the kind of peace that comes from years of deep listening. He sat across from her, folding his hands in his lap, and simply waited. "Master," she began, her voice barely above a whisper, "I have lost everyone I love. My husband died in an accident 3 springs ago. My mother passed last winter. My closest friend moved far away, and we've lost touch. I feel so alone, so abandoned by life itself. People come and go like leaves on the wind, and I cannot understand why love must always end in loss." Kensho listened with the quality of attention that made her feel heard in a way she hadn't experienced in years. When she finished speaking, he was quiet for a long moment, watching the shadows dance on the wooden floor. Finally, he spoke. "Dear one, may I tell you about the tea master who taught me the most important lesson of my life?" She nodded, settling deeper into the cushion, feeling somehow that this story would contain medicine for her wounded heart. "When I was young and full of questions that felt like fire in my chest, I visited an old tea master who lived alone in a small house at the edge of the village. His name was Jire, and he was famous for creating the most beautiful tea ceremonies in all the region. People would travel for days just to experience the peace that flowed from his simple ritual of preparing and serving tea. I came to him burning with spiritual ambition, wanting to learn the secrets of enlightenment, expecting him to teach me profound sutras or complex meditation techniques. Instead, he invited me to sit and watch him prepare tea. For 3 hours, I watched him heat the water, arrange the cups, measure the tea leaves with exquisite care. Every movement was a prayer, every gesture a meditation. I was restless, eager for real teaching. Finally, when the tea was ready, he poured it into 2 cups and placed one before me. The tea was perfect, fragrant, warm, with a taste that seemed to contain the essence of mountain mist and spring rain. As I sipped, I felt my restlessness beginning to dissolve. "Master Jiro," I said, "this tea is extraordinary, but I came seeking spiritual instruction. When will the real teaching begin?" He smiled. Oh, what a smile it was, like sunrise breaking through clouds. "Young monk," he said, "do you think this tea appeared by accident? Do you think the water, the leaves, the cups, the fire, the hands that prepared it, the hearts that receive it, do you think any of these came together by chance?" I began to understand, but he continued, "This tea exists because countless conditions came together in perfect harmony. The rain that nourished the tea plants, the soil that fed their roots, the hands that picked the leaves, the potter who shaped these cups, the trees that provided the wood for the fire, the teachers who taught me this ceremony, the longing in Your heart that brought you here today, all of it is part of this single cup of tea. Nothing is separate. Nothing is accidental. He paused, taking a slow sip from his own cup. And now, young seeker, let me tell you about the people in your life. Do you think they too are accidents? Do you think your mother chose you randomly? Do you think your teacher appeared by chance? Do you think even I, sitting here with you now, am here by coincidence? The tea master leaned forward, his eyes twinkling with gentle wisdom. Every person who enters your life is like an ingredient in this sacred tea. Some are bitter, some are sweet, some provide strength, others offer subtlety. But each one is necessary for the complete flavor of your existence. Remove any one ingredient, and the tea would be entirely different, less complete, less perfect. For your particular journey, Kensho paused in his storytelling, watching as understanding began to dawn in the young woman's eyes like the first light of morning. The tea master taught me that people don't enter our lives by chance, but they also don't stay by chance. Some are meant to be with us for a season, some for a lifetime, some for just a moment. But each encounter, each relationship, each goodbye, all of it is part of the perfect recipe for your soul's growth. Your husband, your mother, your friend, they came to you when you needed them most, and they departed when their part in your story was complete. But the love, the lessons, the growth, they brought you, these remain forever. The woman's eyes filled with tears, but they were different tears, now not tears of abandonment, but tears of recognition. You're saying that even the leaving is part of the gift? Kensho nodded gently. The tea master taught me that everything in life is like the tea ceremony, temporary, precious, and perfect in its impermanence. We cannot hold on to the tea, but we can be forever changed by having tasted it. We cannot hold on to the people we love, but we can be forever transformed by having loved them. As the evening deepened around them, the woman felt something shift. In her heart, the loneliness was still there, but it was no longer a wound. It was a space that had been carved out by love, a space that made room for gratitude and for the possibility of new connections yet to come. "Thank you," she whispered. "I think I understand now. They didn't leave me. They became part of me." Kensho smiled, the same smile that had graced the tea master's face decades before. "Now you are ready to receive the next ingredients in your sacred tea. They are already on their way. Now, dear friend, as the story of the tea master settles into your heart like honey dissolving in warm water, let us turn inward, toward the vast and gentle country of your own being. For it is only when we truly understand ourselves that we can see clearly how others fit into the sacred geometry of our existence. Close your eyes, if they are not already closed, and feel the weight of your body against the softness beneath you. Notice how your breath arrives without your asking, how your heart beats without your remembering to make it beat. This body, this vessel that carries your spirit through this lifetime, is itself a miracle of non-chance trillions of cells working in perfect harmony, each one knowing its purpose, each one connected to the whole dot with each gentle breath. You become the stillness between thoughts, drifting, floating into presence, like a leaf settling onto the surface of a perfectly calm lake. There is no hurry here, no urgency, no need to be anywhere other than exactly where you are. In this moment, you are complete. In this breath, you are whole. The ancient sages knew that the journey inward is not a journey to a different place, but a remembering of what has always been here. They called it many names: Buddha nature, the true self, the ground of being, but all these words point to the same luminous truth. Beneath the surface of your everyday awareness lies an infinite space of peace, a wellspring of wisdom that has been waiting patiently for your return dot as you breathe in. Imagine drawing in not just air, but the essence of all the love you have ever received. Feel it flowing into your lungs, your bloodstream, your very cells. The love your mother gave you when you were small, the kindness of strangers, the loyalty of friends, the tenderness of lovers, all of it is here, available to you now. Part of the oxygen that sustains your life. As you breathe out, imagine releasing not just carbon dioxide, but any sense of separation, any feeling of being alone or disconnected. Let it flow out of you like mist in the morning sun, dissolving into the vast interconnectedness of all being. With each exhale, you are not losing anything. You are joining the great breathing of the universe itself. In the tradition of Vipassana insight meditationers, learn to observe their thoughts and feelings without grasping or pushing. Away, they discover that thoughts arise like clouds in the sky of consciousness, drift across the landscape of awareness, and then dissolve back into the emptiness from which they came. A sky is never disturbed by the clouds. The awareness is never diminished by the thoughts. Right now, as you rest in this gentle space between sleeping and waking, notice how memories of people in your life might float through your awareness. Perhaps you see the face of someone you love, someone you miss, someone who challenged you, someone who changed you. Watch how these images appear and disappear like frames in a gentle film, each one perfect in its momentary existence, each one contributing to the beautiful story of your becoming. Do not try to hold on to any particular memory or push away any particular feeling. Simply observe with the kind attention of a loving grandparent watching children play in a garden. Everything that arises in your awareness is welcome here. Every person who appears in your inner landscape, whether they brought you joy or sorrow, whether they stayed or left, whether you understood them or remained mystified by them, each one is a sacred visitor in the temple of your consciousness. Buddha taught that all suffering comes from attachment, from the desperate grasping after things that are, by their very nature, impermanent. But this does not mean we must become cold or indifferent. Rather, it means we can love fully while holding lightly, like cupping water in our hands, appreciating its coolness and clarity, while understanding that it will naturally flow through. Our fingers. As you sink deeper into this meditative state, imagine yourself as a deep, still lake. The people in your life are like visitors who come to your shores. Some throw pebbles that create ripples of laughter and joy. Others bring storms that churn your waters with challenge and growth. Still others simply sit quietly by your edge, offering the gift of peaceful presence. But no matter what they bring, you remain the lake vast, accepting, fundamentally unchanged by what passes over your surface. In the deepest part of this lake, in the depths of your being, there is a light that has been burning since the moment you were born and even before. It is the light of your true nature, the indestructible essence that attracts to itself exactly the experiences and relationships needed for your soul's evolution. This light does not choose randomly. It calls to itself, across time and space, the souls that can best serve your highest good and whom you can best serve in return. Feel this light now, warm and steady in the center of your chest. It is not a light you have to create or maintain. It simply is like the sun behind clouds, always shining regardless of weather. This is the light that has been drawing people to you throughout your entire life. Your mother felt this light when you were in her womb. Your friends recognize it even when you cannot see it yourself. Your beloved ones are moth-drawn to this gentle flame that is your authentic self. From this place of inner knowing, you can see that every person who has ever entered your life was responding to this light, and you are responding to theirs. Like stars in the night sky, you have been calling to each other across the vast distances of existence, guided by an intelligence far greater than the thinking mind can comprehend. Rest here in this understanding. Let it seep into your bones, into your blood, into the very marrow of your being. You are not a random collection of experiences and relationships. You are a conscious being, a light in the darkness, a note in the great symphony of existence. And every person who has ever touched your life has been part of your sacred song, adding their own unique melody to the music of your becoming. With each breath, feel yourself settling deeper into this truth. With each heartbeat, feel the rhythm of your connection to all life. You are the lake, the light, the song. You are the awareness in which all relationships arise and dissolve. You are the space in which love happens, the ground in which connection grows, the sky in which all meetings and partings take place. And from this place of deep knowing, you understand at last that people don't enter your life by chance. They enter because you are ready to receive them, because your light calls to their light, because the universe itself is conspiring to bring you exactly what you need for your next stage of growth and awakening. Asterisk in the quiet corners of ancient monasteries, where dust motes dance in shafts of afternoon light, and the whispers of centuries seem to echo in the very stones. There exist teachings that are not written in books, but passed from heart to heart, like secrets shared between old friends over tea that has grown cold while wisdom flowed. One such teaching, gentle as a spider's web, jeweled with morning dew, speaks of what the Tibetan masters call Rigpa, the natural state of awareness that exists before thought, before judgment, before the mind creates its stories about who we are and why things happen as they do. In this state, they say, we can perceive the true nature of our connections with others, seeing past the drama of personality to the luminous threads that bind all souls together. There is a beautiful paradox hidden in the heart of Buddhist understanding. The more deeply we realize that we are connected to everyone, the more clearly we see that we are ultimately alone. And the more fully we accept our fundamental aloneness, the more intimately we experience our connection to all beings. This is not a contradiction, but a spiritual riddle that dissolves the artificial boundaries between self and other, between meeting and parting, between chance and destiny. In the Avatamsaka Sutra, there is a magnificent vision called Indra's net, an infinite web of jewels, each one reflecting all the others, stretching across the entire universe. When light touches one jewel, it illuminates all the others simultaneously. Each being in existence is one of these jewels, each relationship a point of light that awakens recognition throughout the entire web. When someone enters your life, they are not just entering your personal story, they are causing ripples of recognition that extend through dimensions of connection you cannot even imagine. The Zen master Dogen, whose words were like perfectly placed stones in a temple garden, taught something that sounds mysterious, but feels true in the deepest parts of our being. To study the way is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be actualized by myriad things. In the context of our relationships, this means that every person we meet is not just another individual, but a different face of our own nature. A mirror reflecting back aspects of ourselves we had not yet discovered. This is why the hidden teachings suggest we sometimes feel an inexplicable recognition when we meet certain people, not because we have known them before in some past life, though that may also be true, but because we are recognizing our own forgotten depths in the depths of another. The stranger who speaks the exact words you needed to hear is not being coincidentally wise. They are being moved by the same intelligence that created your need to hear those words. There is a practice, kept secret in certain circles for centuries, called meeting the Buddha in everyone. It involves looking past the surface personality, past the social roles and protective masks, to the luminous essence that every being carries. When you truly see this Buddha nature in another person, something magical happens. They begin to see it in themselves. And when two people recognize the Buddha nature in each other simultaneously, they create what the ancient texts call pure meeting, an encounter that transforms both participants at the deepest level. This is why some meetings feel so significant, why some conversations seem to alter the very fabric of reality, why some people leave such deep impressions that years later you can still feel their presence in your life. These are not ordinary social interactions, but moments of mutual recognition between souls. Moments when the universe looks at itself through two sets of eyes and experiences the joy of self-discovery. The Zen tradition speaks of beginner's mind approaching each experience with fresh eyes, without the burden of preconceptions. When applied to relationships, this means meeting each person as if for the first time, regardless of how long you have known them. Your mother, your oldest friend, your life partner, each one is a mystery deeper than the ocean, a being whose depths you have barely begun to explore. Every conversation with them is an opportunity for new discovery, every interaction a chance to see them more clearly. But perhaps the most beautiful hidden teaching is this: the people who challenge us most, who push our buttons and trigger our deepest wounds, are often our greatest teachers in disguise. They are the ones brave enough to show us the shadows we have been avoiding, the parts of ourselves we have been unwilling to face. They arrive in our lives like stern but loving coaches, not to make us comfortable, but to make us hold dot in the Lajong teachings of Tibetan Buddhism. There is a practice called transforming obstacles into the path. This means using every difficulty as an opportunity for growth, every challenge as a doorway to deeper understanding. When someone enters your life and creates upheaval, instead of seeing them as a problem to be solved, you can see them as a gift to be unwrapped, a particularly powerful form of medicine that your soul has prescribed for itself. The hidden truth is that your soul is far wiser than your personality realizes. While your ego might prefer comfortable, easy relationships, your soul actively draws to itself the experiences that will catalyze your evolution. Sometimes this means attracting people who will love you unconditionally, helping you learn to love yourself. Sometimes it means attracting people who will challenge you fiercely, helping you discover strengths you didn't know you possessed. There is an ancient story about a monk who prayed every day for patience. Year after year, he made the same request: "Please, give me patience." Finally, the universe answered his prayer by sending him the most irritating person imaginable, someone who questioned everything he said, interrupted his meditations, and generally made his life extremely difficult. At first, the monk was frustrated, but slowly he began to understand this person was not an obstacle to his patience, but the very means by which patience would be developed. As you drift deeper into the ocean of sleep, carry with you this gentle revelation: everyone in your life is exactly who they need to be for your soul's highest good. Not because the universe is trying to make you happy, though it often does, but because it is trying to make you whole. And in becoming whole, you become a clearer mirror for others, reflecting back their own Buddha nature, their own hidden light, their own infinite potential. The wheel of connection turns, and each person you meet turns it a little further, bringing you closer to the full realization of who you really are. In the deepest teaching of all, you discover that you are not separate from the people in your life. You are all part of the same vast being, dreaming that it is many, playing the cosmic game of hide and seek with itself, using every meeting as an opportunity to recognize its own infinite nature. *** In the twilight realm between waking and sleeping, where thoughts become as fluid as water and wisdom flows like honey through the chambers of the heart, let us explore together the gentle mystery of why pain and joy dance so intimately in the theater of human connection. Picture, if you will, a lotus flower resting serenely on the surface of a moonlit pond. Its petals, pure white and soft as silk, catch the silver light and seem to glow from within. But beneath the surface, hidden in the dark, nutrient-rich mud at the bottom of the pond, lie the lotus roots drawing sustenance from decay, transforming what has died into beauty, turning the compost of yesterday into the blossoms of today. This is the profound teaching that whispers to us in the depths of night. There is no lotus without the mud, no beauty without the fertilizer of difficulty, no peace without the compost of previous suffering. The people who enter our lives carry with them both the mud and the potential for flowers, both the challenge and the gift, both the question and the answer dot in the ancient halls of wisdom, where masters have contemplated the nature of existence. For thousands of years, there is a teaching that sounds almost too simple to be true. Suffering is not the opposite of peace, but its teacher. Every moment of pain, every experience of loss, every relationship that wounds us is simultaneously creating the space for deeper understanding, greater compassion, and more authentic love. Consider how a skilled potter shapes clay not gently, not without pressure, but with firm hands that know exactly how much force is needed to create beauty. The clay might resist, might seem to prefer its original formless state, but the potter's hands are guided by a vision of what the clay can become. So too are we shaped by the hands of existence, molded by every relationship, every encounter, every moment of friction into the unique vessels we are meant to be. The Buddha, in his infinite compassion, taught that the first noble truth is the existence of dukkha, often translated as suffering, but more accurately understood as the fundamental dissatisfaction that arises from trying to grasp onto things that are, by their very nature, impermanent. We suffer not because bad things happen, but because we expect good things to last forever. We suffer not because people leave, but because we want them to stay exactly as they are, exactly as we need them to be for all eternity. But here, in the gentle darkness of this contemplative hour, we can see this truth through softer eyes. The people in our lives are like seasons, each one perfect in its own timing, each one bringing exactly what is needed for that particular phase of our growth. Spring relationships bring newness and excitement, the fresh green energy of beginnings. Summer relationships offer the fullness of connection, the warm abundance of deep intimacy. Autumn relationships teach us about letting go, about finding beauty in endings. Winter relationships, though they may seem harsh, offer the gift of solitude, the space for inner reflection and preparation for new growth. Imagine yourself now as a garden through which many seasons have passed. Every person who has walked through your life has left something behind: seeds that will bloom when conditions are right, compost that will nourish future growth, lessons that will bear fruit in relationships yet to come. The friend who betrayed you planted seeds of discernment. The lover who left you planted seeds of independence. The parent who disappointed you planted seeds of forgiveness. None of these gifts could have been received without the particular pain that accompanied them. This is not to say that suffering is good, or that we should seek it out. Rather, it is to understand that suffering and peace are not enemies, but dance partners, each one giving meaning to the other. A heart that has never known loss cannot fully appreciate the preciousness of connection. A soul that has never experienced betrayal cannot truly understand the value of loyalty. A spirit that has never felt abandoned cannot fully embrace the miracle of being chosen. In the deepest teachings of Buddhism, there is a concept called sunyata, emptiness or voidness. This doesn't mean that nothing exists, but rather that nothing exists independently, separately, permanently. Every experience, every relationship, every moment of joy or sorrow is empty of fixed, inherent existence. They arise, they play out. They're part in the great drama of your becoming, and then they dissolve back into the vast space of possibility from which they came. This understanding brings profound peace. The argument you had with your partner this morning, it arose from causes and conditions and will pass away when those conditions change. The grief you feel for someone who has died, it too will transform, not disappearing but becoming something else, perhaps gratitude, perhaps deeper love, perhaps wisdom that you can share with others who are grieving. As you float in this dreamy space between thoughts, notice how even your own sense of self feels fluid, changeable, less solid than it does during the busy hours of daylight. This is not a loss, but a remembering you are not the fixed character you sometimes think you are, but a flowing process, a verb rather than a noun, a dance rather than a dancer. The people in your life are also verbs, also dances, also flowing processes. The version of your mother you knew when you were 5 is not the same as the version you know now. The friend who hurt you last year is not the same person who might. Ask for your forgiveness tomorrow. The lover who left you is not the same person who once promised to stay forever. We are all constantly changing, constantly becoming, constantly being reborn in each moment. This is why the ancient sages taught that true peace comes not from arranging our external circumstances to be exactly as we want them, but from understanding the fundamental nature of change itself. When we align ourselves with the flow of impermanence rather than fighting against it, we find that suffering begins to transform into acceptance, acceptance into wisdom, and wisdom into a peace that passes understanding. In the gentle hours before dawn, when the world is quiet and the mind is still, this peace is always available. It is not something you have to create or earn or deserve. It is your natural state, temporarily obscured by the clouds of thought and worry, but always shining behind them like the sun behind a storm. The people in your life, all of them, the easy ones and the difficult ones, the ones who stayed and the ones who left, they are all part of this peace. They are the waves on the ocean of your existence, each one necessary for the ocean to know itself as vast, as deep, as capable of both storm and calm. Rest now in this understanding. Let it hold you like a gentle parent, like a wise friend, like the arms of the universe itself. You are not separate from the peace you seek. You are its very expression, its living embodiment, its conscious recognition of itself. And every person who has ever touched your life has been part of this recognition, part of this peace awakening to itself through the beautiful dream of relationship. Asterisk, asterisk, in the silver hours, when night begins to soften toward dawn, when the world exists in that magical state between dream and waking, there comes a wisdom that can only be understood by the heart, the profound art of letting go. Not the harsh releasing that comes from exhaustion or defeat, but the gentle opening that comes from trust, like a flower allowing its petals to fall when the time is right. The ancient masters spoke of a quality they called vairagya, non-attachment. But this word has been misunderstood by many as coldness, as not caring, as building walls around the heart. The true meaning is far more beautiful. It is the capacity to love fully while holding lightly, to give completely while expecting nothing in return, to cherish deeply while understanding that all forms are temporary expressions of the eternal. Imagine a skilled archer drawing back the bowstring. The arrow is held firmly, but not gripped tightly. The archer's aim is precise, their intention clear, but when the moment comes to release, there is no hesitation, no desperate clinging to the arrow. The letting go is as much a part of the archer's skill as the drawing back. The arrow finds its target not despite the release, but because of it. So too with the people in our lives. We draw them close with love, we hold them with attention and care, but the deepest expression of love is sometimes the willingness to let them go, to let them be who they are, to let them make their own choices, to let them follow their own path even when it leads away from us. This is perhaps the most difficult teaching to accept with the mind, yet the easiest to understand with the heart. Every parent knows this truth intimately. The child you hold so carefully in your arms will one day walk away from you, and this walking away is not a failure of love, but its ultimate success. Every lover knows this truth in their bones. The beloved who chooses to stay does so not because they must, but because they want to. And this wanting is renewed each day, each moment, each breath. In the Buddhist tradition, there is a practice called Tonglen, taking and giving. The practitioner breathes in the suffering of the world and breathes out relief, healing, love. On the surface, this might seem like a practice of taking on unnecessary pain. But the deeper wisdom is this: when we stop running from difficult emotions, when we stop trying to protect ourselves from the natural pain of loving and losing, we discover that our capacity for joy expands infinitely. The heart that has learned to let go is like a sky that can hold all weather storms and sunshine, clouds and clear blue expanses. It does not reject the rain or cling to the sunny days. It simply provides space for whatever weather arises, knowing that all of it is temporary. All of it is beautiful in its own way. All of it is part of the great dance of existence. As you rest in this contemplative space, feeling your body soft and heavy against the embrace of your bed, notice how your breath naturally demonstrates the art of letting go. You don't hold on to the inhale, trying to keep the good air inside forever. You don't resist the exhale, fearing you will never breathe again. You trust the rhythm, a natural flow of giving and receiving, taking in and releasing your relationships. Follow this same rhythm. The friend who was so important to you in childhood needed to be released so you could make room for the friends who would understand your teenage heart. The lover who captured your imagination in youth needed to be let go so you could discover the partner who would love your mature soul. The dreams and plans you held so tightly needed to dissolve so new possibilities could emerge. This is not to say that letting go is easy or that it doesn't involve genuine grief. The Buddha never taught that we should not feel pain when we lose someone we love. He taught that we should not add unnecessary suffering to that pain by insisting that things should be different than they are. There is a profound difference between pain and suffering. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. When someone leaves your life, whether through death, distance, or choice, the pain you feel is the price of having loved. It is not a mistake or a punishment, but a testament to the depth of your connection. The suffering comes only when you add stories to the pain, stories about being abandoned, about not being good enough, about life being unfair. The pain is clean and can be held with compassion. The suffering is muddy and tends to spiral into more suffering. In the Zen tradition, there is a saying, "You are perfect as you are, and you could use a little improvement." This paradox points to the same truth about letting go. Your love is perfect as it is, complete, whole, lacking nothing. And yet, it can always deepen, always become more spacious, always learn to hold more beauty and more sorrow with equal grace. The people in your life are also perfect as they are, not perfect in the sense of having no flaws, but perfect in the sense of being exactly what they are in this moment, carrying exactly the lessons your soul needs to learn, offering exactly the gifts your heart is ready to receive. And yet, they too are constantly changing, constantly becoming, constantly offering new opportunities for connection and understanding. The art of letting go is really the art of loving without conditions, of accepting without trying to change, of being present without demanding permanence. It is the recognition that everything you have ever loved is still with you in some form, not as a memory or a ghost, but as part of the fabric of who you have become. The friend who taught you to laugh, the teacher who showed you how to think, the lover who opened your heart, they are all still here, woven into the tapestry of your being. As you drift deeper into the night, imagine yourself as a tree that has learned to let go of its leaves each autumn without dying, without becoming less itself. The leaves fall, but the tree remains. The roots grow deeper, the trunk grows stronger, and when spring comes, new leaves will grow, not the same leaves, but leaves that are nourished by the compost of what has fallen away. You are this tree, rooted in the unchanging ground of being, flexible enough to bend with the winds of change, wise enough to know when to hold on and when to let go. The people in your life are like the leaves. Some stay for many seasons, some for just one, but all of them contribute to your growth, your strength. Your beauty. Rest now in this understanding. Let it settle into your bones like ancient wisdom, like a lullaby sung by the universe itself. You are held, you are loved, you are exactly where you need to be. And everyone who has ever touched your life, everyone who has ever needed to be released, everyone who has ever let you go, they are all part of the perfect unfolding of your becoming. Asterisk, asterisk, in the deepest hour of night, when the world sleeps and the veil between dimensions grows thin, there exists a state of consciousness that the ancient ones called Bodhi awakening. Not the sudden, dramatic enlightenment of stories, but the gentle dawning of recognition, like the first light of sunrise, slowly illuminating a familiar landscape that had been hidden in darkness. This awakening is not something that happens to you, but something you remember you have always been. It is the recognition that you are not the small, separate self you sometimes think you are, but part of the vast, interconnected web of existence itself. And in this recognition, you begin to understand that every person who has ever entered your life has been part of your awakening, not just the kind ones, not just the wise ones, but all of them. Picture a butterfly emerging from its chrysalis, wings still wet and crumpled, slowly unfurling in the warm sunlight. The butterfly does not become something new. It reveals what it has always been. The caterpillar was never truly a caterpillar, but a butterfly waiting for the right conditions to emerge. So too, your awakening is not a transformation, but a revelation, not a becoming, but a remembering. The people in your life are like the conditions that allow this remembering to occur. Some provide the warmth of acceptance, like sunlight helping your wings to dry. Others provide the friction of challenge, like the struggle that strengthens your wings for flight. Still others provide the space of witnessing, like the vast sky that receives your first tentative attempts at soaring dot in the Tibetan tradition. There is a teaching about Rigpa, the natural awareness that exists before thought, before judgment, before the mind creates its elaborate stories about who we are and what life means. This awareness is not something you have to achieve or develop. It is what you are, beneath all the layers of conditioning and personality. It is the space in which all experiences arise and pass away, the stage on which all relationships play out their dramas. When you rest in this awareness, you begin to see that the person who hurt you and the person who loved you are both equally perfect expressions of the universe exploring itself. The pain they caused and the joy they brought are both equally valid experiences in the curriculum of your awakening. There is no mistake, no accident, no wrong person or wrong timing. Only the perfect unfolding of consciousness coming to know itself more fully. This is the radical freedom that awakening brings. Not freedom from relationship, but freedom within relationship. Not freedom from pain, but freedom from the stories that make pain into suffering. Not freedom from love, but freedom to love without conditions, without expectations, without the desperate need for love to be returned in the exact form we think we want. Imagine yourself as a vast ocean, and every person who enters your life as a wave upon your surface. Some waves are gentle and warm, caressing your shores with tenderness. Others are powerful and wild, reshaping your coastline with their force. But you are not any single wave. You are the ocean itself, vast and deep and eternal. The waves arise from you, dance upon you, and return to you. But they never diminish your essential nature. This ocean nature is what the Buddha called your Buddha nature, the indestructible essence that is your true identity. It cannot be wounded by betrayal, cannot be diminished by loss, cannot be threatened by abandonment. It is the part of you that recognizes itself in every being you meet, the part that calls to itself across the seeming distances of separation. As you float in this dreamy space between sleeping and waking, notice how your awareness naturally expands. The boundaries between self and other become softer, more permeable. You might feel connected not just to the people in your life, but to the pillow beneath your head, the air you breathe, the sounds of night filtering through your window. This is not imagination, but recognition. You are recognizing your true size, your true nature, your true relationship to existence. In this state of expanded awareness, you can see the beautiful perfection of your life's tapestry. Every thread, every relationship, every encounter, every moment of connection or separation is exactly where it needs to be. Remove any single thread, and the entire pattern would be different. The person who broke your heart was as necessary to your awakening as the person who mended it. The friend who abandoned you was as crucial to your growth as the one who stayed loyal through every storm. This is not to say that harmful behavior is acceptable or that you should passively accept mistreatment. Rather, it is to understand that even the most difficult relationships can serve your awakening if you allow them to. The person who teaches you to set boundaries is as valuable as the one who teaches you to be vulnerable. The relationship that teaches you to say no is as important as the one that teaches you to say yes. True freedom comes when you realize that you are not the victim of your circumstances, but the author of your responses. You cannot control who enters your life or how long they stay, but you can choose how to meet them, how to learn from them, how to grow through your interactions with them. This is the freedom of the awakened heart, not freedom from life's challenges, but freedom to meet them with wisdom, compassion, and grace. In the Heart Sutra, one of the most profound texts in all of Buddhism, there is a famous line: "Form is emptiness, emptiness is form." This paradoxical teaching points to the truth that everything you experience, including every relationship, is both completely real and completely illusory. The love you feel is real, but the lover is constantly changing. The pain you experience is real, but the person who caused it is not fixed in that role forever. When you understand this deeply, you become free to love without possessiveness, to commit without attachment, to care without controlling. You can give your whole heart to someone while understanding that they are not your possession. You can grieve deeply when someone leaves while knowing that their essence is still part of you. You can forgive completely while maintaining healthy boundaries. This is the awakening that happens not in dramatic moments, but in quiet recognitions, not in mountain peaks, but in ordinary Tuesday afternoons, not in spiritual experiences, but in the simple understanding that you are already whole, already complete, already free. Every person who has ever touched your life has been part of this gentle awakening, part of your slow and beautiful remembering of who you really are. As you rest in this understanding, feel how it changes the quality of your breathing, the softness of your body, the spaciousness of your awareness. You are not a separate being struggling through life, but life itself, experiencing itself through the temporary vehicle of your individual consciousness. You are the universe dreaming that it is you, and every person in your dream is the universe dreaming that it is them. In this recognition, there is profound peace. Not the peace of having solved all problems, but the peace of understanding that there were never any problems to solve, only experiences to embrace, only opportunities to love more deeply, only invitations to awaken more fully to the magnificent mystery of existence itself. Asterisk, asterisk, in the spaces between heartbeats, in the pause between breaths, in the moment of stillness before dawn breaks, there exists a silence so profound that it contains all sound, so empty that it holds all fullness, so still that it is the source of all movement. This is the silence that speaks when words fail, the space that connects when distance seems vast, the peace that remains when all else changes. The ancient masters understood that the deepest communication happens not through words, but through this silence. When two people sit together in meditation, when lovers gaze into each other's eyes without speaking, when a parent simply holds a crying child, in these moments, the most profound exchanges occur in the wordless realm, in the space where souls recognize each other without the need for translation. This silence is not empty, but pregnant with possibility. It is the canvas on which all relationships are painted, the stage on which all encounters unfold, the garden in which all connections grow. Every person who has ever entered your life has emerged from this silence and will eventually return to it. But the meeting, the recognition, the exchange of essence, this happens in the eternal now that exists beyond time. Imagine yourself as a still lake at twilight, your surface so calm that it perfectly mirrors the sky above. A bird flies across your reflection, creating ripples that spread outward in gentle circles. Soon the ripples fade and the surface returns to perfect stillness, but something has changed. The lake has been touched, has participated in the bird's journey, has become part of its story. The silence returns, but it is a deeper silence now, enriched by the encounter. This is how your consciousness receives each person who enters your life. They appear in your awareness like that bird, creating ripples of recognition, waves of emotion, disturbances both beautiful and challenging. But beneath all the surface activity, there is always the deep silence of your true nature, unshakable and eternal. This silence is not disturbed by the waves, but made more apparent by them. Like the way silence becomes more noticeable after a bell stops ringing. In the Zen tradition, there is a practice called Zazen, just sitting. The practitioner sits in silence, not trying to achieve anything or go anywhere, but simply being present to what is. In this practice, you discover that silence is not the absence of sound, but the presence of space, the space in which all sounds arise and pass away, the awareness in which all thoughts come and go, the love in which all relationships begin and end. When you bring this quality of spacious silence to your relationships, something magical happens. Instead of reacting from the surface of your personality, you begin to respond from the depth of your being. Instead of trying to fix or change or possess the other person, you simply offer them the gift of your presence. Instead of getting lost in the drama of emotions, you remain rooted in the peace that passes understanding. This is how your consciousness receives each person who enters your life. They appear in your awareness like that bird, creating ripples of recognition, waves of emotion, disturbances both beautiful and challenging. But beneath all the surface activity, there is always the deep silence of your true nature, unshakable and eternal. This silence is not disturbed by the waves, but made more apparent by them. Like the way silence becomes more noticeable after a bell stops ringing. In the Zen tradition, there is a practice called Zazen, just sitting. The practitioner sits in silence, not trying to achieve anything or go anywhere, but simply being present to what is. In this practice, you discover that silence is not the absence of sound, but the presence of space, the space in which all sounds arise and pass away, the awareness in which all thoughts come and go, the love in which all relationships begin and end. When you bring this quality of spacious silence to your relationships, something magical happens. Instead of reacting from the surface of your personality, you begin to respond from the depth of your being. Instead of trying to fix or change or possess the other person, you simply offer them the gift of your presence. Instead of getting lost in the drama of emotions, you remain rooted in the peace that passes understanding. This is the silence that a wise grandmother offers to her troubled grandchild, not advice or judgment, but simply the spacious presence that says, "Whatever you're going through, I'm here." It is the silence that true friends share, where words become unnecessary because the connection exists at a level deeper than language. It is the silence that lovers discover in their most intimate moments, where the boundaries between self and other dissolve into pure being.